Hello and welcome to the first annual Unity Sunday for Clark County, where we all come together to say that all races and all religions and all cultures are loved and welcomed and valued here in Clark County. So let's hear it for that alone. I'm absolutely thrilled that we're starting off this new tradition for Clark County, and it's the first annual. So next year it'll be twice as big. The year after that, it'll be twice as big again. This is going to become just a part of our local culture. I first want to thank my sponsors, Ann McKennedy Mayor Tim Levitt couldn't be here today. He's out of town. And Mayor Sean Gard from Washougal is also a sponsor and proudly helping us spread the word. But he's also out of town. And of course, Mark Bolt, our chair of the Clark County Council. Thank you so much for being here today. Now we have a lot of elected officials and candidates here as well. I'd like to recognize you all as one. So could you please raise your hands and thank you for serving our community. Thank you so much. Perez, I see. John Orange, I see. Of course, Larry Smith, retired from the City Council. Wonderful to have all of you here. And one more round of applause for the people who put their lives into public service. So, about 25 years ago, I took a backpack and got on a train and went all over Europe with a couple bucks in my pocket and a rail pass. And started thinking about what I wanted to do with my life. I was thinking about the sciences or journalism or government. And as I was enjoying that incredible experience, one day I stopped in the Polish town of Auschwitz. And that day I decided it's going to be government because the stakes are so high and the work is so important. And what happens when government goes bad can be bad, or of course at the extreme it can be horrific. And what happens when government does good things like the moon landing and the Marshall Plan is beautiful. And the stakes are incredibly high. So that was the day that I personally made the decision, I'm dedicating my life to public service. And it means a great deal to me, 25 years later, to have been able to dedicate my life to public service, had some success, and to have friends like all of you who are ready to step up to the plate when it's time to say, hold on a second, our national rhetoric is getting a little bit out of hand right now. Anytime we hear any minority group called out and scapegoated and threatened, we have to stand up and say, no, that is not right. We don't accept that. So that's why we started organizing this event, but then we realized we wanted to be a positive event about positively and permanently standing up for unity all across Clark County. So this can't become a divided nation, slowly bickering our way into global inconsequence. Right? This is the United States of America. We are a united community and a united family here in Clark County. Everyone is welcome, everyone is valued, and everyone is loved. So we have a fantastic lineup of speakers here today to speak about their experiences and their commitment to unity in Clark County so that we can continue to build the simple fact that we are all one united family here in Clark County. Thank you very much for being here. And our first speaker is Salah Ansari. Salah is with the Lutheran Community Services and has been for many, many years. He is the director for Family Services and Children. And one of the things that Lutheran Community Services does in our community is welcome in refugees and help refugees from all throughout the world be successful here in Clark County. So let's hear it for Salah Ansari.
Thank you so much, Tim, for inviting me. Excuse me, when I first he called me that this unity gathering is taking place in Vancouver. I was so excited because these are the kind of forums that we need to express who we are, because there's a lot of divisions out there that will try to divide us. So unity, I'm just looking at these beautiful bouquet of flowers, and it's just that patches all of these different colors that to me, that's unity. And unity for me also resonates a few other words that over the years through my personal journey that I have come to appreciate. I think humanity, heart, compassion, mindfulness, vulnerability. These are all the kind of words that bring us together if we work towards them. And I think I congratulate this, all of you. This is unity. For you to show up on a Sunday afternoon in this weather, this is unity, and I hope we make this bigger and bigger. My own life story started back in Afghanistan. And when I was born there for 25 years, I lived in Afghanistan. In 1978, I had no imagination that I will be uprooted from my homeland. But unfortunately that took place. In 1978, I found myself to leave and flee for my life and made that journey. And ultimately, I arrived in Portland. That was 1978. And ever since, I made it a mission, a calling for myself, that I will work towards advancing the cause of humanity, and the plight of refugees was huge for me. And I subsequently, after the Russians invaded Afghanistan, I was able to bring my family members, my mother and all of my siblings, and that in itself was quite a journey. Throughout 1980, I've been working with refugees. As Tim mentioned, I work with Lutheran Community Services since 1984. And we have resettled close to 37,000 refugees in the Northwest. And of course, this is something that we could have not done alone. The unity in terms of people coming forward with big heart and helping out to resettle. I think it takes a village to resettle a refugee family. As they say, it takes a village to raise a child. Exactly, that's how it's done, but it could have not been done otherwise in isolation. So, there's, in the Bible, in the scripture, there's all this welcoming the refugee when I was hungry and poor. Or in Islam, in the Quran, it says in Surah 59, chapter 9, that help refugees, welcome refugees. And these are from the biblical or from Hebrew tradition, Islamic tradition, all of these in terms of embracing people who are in need, people who are hurt. So I'm excited about the possibility of having this as an annual event, and I would love to be a part of it. And I wish you all the best. And we have a program in Vancouver. We opened our Lutheran Community Services Northwest branch here in Vancouver in 1994. That was when the influx of refugees from former Soviet Union took place. And they found this an incredible, peaceful environment. They wanted to come to Vancouver. And that tradition continues on, and we still resettle refugees up to this day. And obviously, today, refugees are, being a scapegoat for many, many other problems in the world. But the refugees that we have resettled, these are individuals who are those who have been resettled much earlier. When you ask them, where are you now? And the stories that you hear, it's really heartwarming, and so this is who we are in the United States of America. because the path to citizenship in a lot of other countries in Europe, and it's not the same as it is here. So I'm really glad that we are having this event, and best of luck to all of you. And thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, thank you everybody for coming. It is a great honor to be here. You know, one of my first, I guess, experiences before I introduce Mr. Perez is when I was here the last time I was a commissioner, we had really a formal presentation of our diversity in the county. And that went on for many years. And essentially it was how many people of the minority we hired so we could get a grant from the federal government. And so the county did that for, I don't know how many years. Maybe 10, 15 years, you know. That was just the way it was done, you know. And so, and then about 2008, when actually the LULAC wasn't formed, but they were definitely a presence, and Earl Ford and people like that came and said, hey, your talk is cheap. Essentially, that's what my dad used to tell me, and he told me. And so it really resonated with myself and Mr. Barron, who was the county administrator at that time. And so we sat down for 3 meetings with all kinds of great people. And essentially 2 of the meetings we were pretty well chewed out. And then the second one we started talking, and the 4th one we started talking. We hired a diversity coordinator, as you know. And so things came, and if you read the paper, things haven't been the greatest in the last 3 years, but we're trying to crawl out of that hole. And it's people like you with the county and Vancouver, other people will definitely get out of this hole, and we will become much more respectful people. And I can say that because I spent the majority of my life, you know, in the mud, picking berries and doing everything else with, you know, with labor. And labor either from Vietnam or labor from Mexico. And, you know, I just grew up that way. You know, we had birthday parties and everything else. So I haven't seen anything different. But it is amazing. So our next speaker is Diana Perez. She formed LULAC, and she's a very educated, works for, I get this right, Mount St. Helens National Volcanic Monument. She has done so much in our community and has taught me so much, either personally, but probably more for the organization that she stands. I'm blessed to know her, and we as a community, more than that, are blessed to have her. So thank you. Come on up and say a few words.
Thank you, Mark, for that lovely introduction, and thank you to our wonderful friends here, our local electeds who put a call out for unity. And I answered that call, and I'm here. Because we're gathering with non-traditional partners, and that's what unity is all about. If we're committed to unity and the values that it means, it can aspire to be more than what it is today under this shelter. And that was what LULAC was standing for, the League of United Latin American Citizens. You don't have to be Latino. But the issue of unity, the issue of bipartisanship, the issue of civil discourse, the issue of justice, all that is embedded in the word unity. Today, we're answering that call together, and I hope that we meet more and more with our brothers and sisters from different parts of the nation who have come here to America, who have made it what it is today, with all these different values and perspectives. And we're going to use that to our advantage. We've been inundated with hate speech, with hate rhetoric, with discrimination, with fear. Don't you think that's enough? The youth at Forest Grove High School thought it was enough. And bless them for speaking up. In solidarity, we do too. If they are speaking up, why aren't we together in unity? Because that's what we are doing, shaping the future for them. What are we leaving for them to work on? So I hope that today we start this conversation, a difficult one for some, but it needs to happen. And we need to be able to shake hands. And we need to be invited and not invisible. When our elected officials like Senator Murray or Congresswoman Hillary Butler come, I don't want to see it in Facebook. I want to have that invitation. I want to be invited to have that conversation. How do we reach out to those people who don't have the same opportunity that I do? To those parents who are working 3, 4 jobs and their children have to stay home to take care of their siblings. That is not right. And you know it. So together, in unity, we can make a difference. And the difference starts within you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Ann McInerney-Ogle. I'm the Mayor Pro Tem for the City of Vancouver. And about 20 years ago, we had some good friends who were Jewish, and we celebrated Passover with them and realized that they had to travel to Portland because they didn't have their synagogue over on this side of the river. Well, this evening, I met Doug Green, and he was the reason why we have this beautiful congregation Koami, and we have Rabbi Elizabeth. When I met them 8 years ago, Rabbi Elizabeth, if you've ever heard her, has the most beautiful voice. That they were breaking ground on the new synagogue out in the east, part of the county, and a calf came across the road to join them. This was the last cow on this farmer's farm, and I'm sure he was lonely, and he was wanting to find out what was going on. And so this calf walked across and joined this entire congregation as they were breaking ground on this new synagogue. And the sheriff was out there, and all the sheriff cars were trying to push this calf away, and the calf just continued to walk between the cars and join the congregation. And after about 20 minutes of this, the congregation said, "Stop. We have a new one in the flock." And not only did they bring the calf in and allow the calf to stay there, that went to, it was meant for the slaughterhouse. It didn't go there. It's living happily ever after on another farm. But Doug Green helped with this. Doug, come on up here. Doug is the former president of the congregation Cohen. Not only did he help build a synagogue in record time, but thank you so much for bringing Rabbi Elizabeth from the east side of the world over to us.
Sunny Rockfest. So thank you very much. First of all, I want to thank Nick and other people for setting up this event. I think it's very important. I think we have far too few occasions like this where we get to talk to other people in our community. Although, when I was sort of thinking about my remarks, there are actually other occasions where we all see each other, and they are in the places that this community depends on. For example, the food bank. I think a lot of people here probably are part of an organization that at some point or another does your share at the food bank. The WHO, and some of the other homeless organizations and so on. So actually there are other occasions, but it's usually like, you know, at the WHO, it's 5 in the morning and you're kind of waiting for someone to give you a relief for the overnight shift. So for the last, so I moved here basically 21 years ago. There was basically no Jewish infrastructure here. There had always been a Jewish community. There had been Jewish merchants along Main Street. There had been Jewish shops and so on. Most folks basically tied into Portland. And basically a group of people, the purpose for one of those group of families gathered together and said, you know what, we can start building something here in the city we belong to, that we live in. We're going to build a synagogue, we're going to hire a rabbi, we're going to have a full Jewish community. And what was great about it is, despite whatever the limitations you might say about the county's functionality over the last few years, the county commissioners were very welcoming to our project. We were able to get zoning and approval and so on. We found wherever we go, when everybody was excited about it. I know, however, that is not always the same for other groups. Other groups have faced headwinds in establishing mosques, temples, other houses of worship in this community. So we have a long way to go. I've been hearing a lot of words about obligation and so on. Now, in Judaism, charity isn't, in the common world here, charity is often considered to be kind of a voluntary activity. I'll go and I'll donate a little bit of money and it makes me feel good. In Judaism, it's called a mitzvah. It's basically a law, an obligation. And your obligation to other people isn't exactly a voluntary kind of thing. No one's going to force you to do it. But it's not in that zeitgeist. It's not in that spirit. It's just basically something you ought to do. And I was kind of thinking, Judaism is a 4,000-year-old tradition, so a lot of its ideas and so on are a little bit older than some of our experiences here in the United States. And I realized we have a modern term for it, and it's what we're hearing about, which is citizenship. Right? As American citizens, no one makes you do anything. You don't have to stand for the anthem. It's not illegal to not like the Constitution and so on, or defend the country. But as citizens, we all feel that we have obligations. And most Americans, thank God, a majority of Americans, feel those obligations. And this society runs on those obligations. So I think that is also part of our little event here today, that we need to build up citizenship and so on. One other little remark I'm going to make, since we have so many elected officials here. While it is a privilege and it's a great joy for a lot of us to do the volunteer work that we do, lest we let it become a crutch for the community to say, oh great, we have a great homeless program, so we don't have to worry about homelessness. We have a great food bank, and it is a great food bank, so we don't have to worry about hunger. As weird as it may sound, one of our goals as many of our groups is, I don't want to put our synagogue out of business, but the social action work that we do, I'd like one day not to have to do that. That should be a goal. It may never happen, we never see it, but this is the United States. We don't have a shortage of food. We sure don't have a shortage of food. As you can see from me, food is very available for a lot of us. But we have a distribution problem, right? We have people who literally don't have enough. I remember when our kid just recently graduated from school, and I always used to wonder why they waited so long to declare snow days, Evergreen's district. Anyone know why? And it's not because the urban myth about the buses. Food, right? When we have a snow day, some kids are going to go hungry. And that just is, this is the United States, and that shouldn't be happening. Right? So that's something I hope that we work on, that maybe not next year or the year after that, but maybe let's say 5 or 10 Unity picnics from now, we'll be talking about other problems and not food and housing. So thanks very much.
Kathryn Cohen is the Assistant Director for the Safe Choice. That's the domestic violence program over at the YWCA, which is just right around the corner from our homes. But she has spent 15 years in social justice, and she also helps out with CASA, and that's the program that helps with foster children. But in her bio, she wrote one sentence that I think is very important, and it's why we're here today. The mission is to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. And that's why we're here today. Kathryn?
My pleasure to be here. I wrote my little talk here because it's mostly about passion. I'm really speaking from my heart. And what I'm truly passionate about in the work that I do and a place that I find myself in our community. So I'd like to share that with you. Happens to be this year marks the 100 years of service for the YWCA. And the YWCA is on a mission. As Ann said, that the mission of the YWCA is to eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all. Like those we serve, who come to our doors, making brave decisions to make change, we look forward with hope and the certainty that when we work together, change can happen. We are working together with our community to extend kindness, acceptance, and inclusion in promoting justice and peace, and a mutual understanding of human rights. In the Presidential Proclamation of 2015 for the National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, it was reaffirmed that we live in a country that is dedicated to forging a nation where every individual can realize autonomy, liberty, security, health, and safety, and where the basic human right to be free of violence and abuse is upheld. This to me means a nation where an intention at least is that no one suffers the hurt and hardship from the decisions and the actions of others. We together can join our efforts to ensure no person is robbed of the chance to live out their greatest aspirations, and where peace can prevail in our communities, our states, and between our countries. It is our shared vision for social change that unites us, and a dedication to making that change that inspires hope and healing. A shared vision that values empowerment, diversity, and service to uphold those struggling with trauma, abuse, neglect, poverty, assault, and oppression. As we continue to work together, we can inspire our community's diverse richness and promote healthy relationships and civic responsibility. In many ways, we share things in common, and in many other ways, we have differences in who we are, how we think, and what we believe. As we think independently together, we create a richness of diversity where we can make a real difference. Together we can extend our love and our appreciation for all members of our human family and celebrate its many unique identities. I do believe when people united in purpose join together for a common good, there is a synergy where change happens. Michael Novak wrote, "Unity and diversity is the highest possible attainment of a civilization, a testimony to the most noble possibilities, and that this attainment is made possible through passionate concern for choice in an atmosphere of social trust." In considering this statement, what stood out for me was two thoughts. One, of an intense love and concern for, at minimum, the basic needs for self and others. And the other was that of the connections people have with each other and the part these connections play in us trusting each other when working towards a common goal. This may seem like a tall order, but if difference enriches human interactions, can we consider the possibility that we as a people can grow our communities through a connection that extends to our greatest imaginings, and where social identities are greatly valued and encouraged in relationship. I believe that together we can inspire and empower each other to unite for what's best, not only for our local communities, but for our world, and that our world is seeking connection. Hope, support, and meaning does reside in our collective willingness to reimagine and reconsider our humanity. By embracing our differences, we learn from each other and we enrich each other's lives. Together, we can eliminate racism, empower women, and promote peace, justice, freedom, and dignity for all.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the work you do for our community. Next is Curtis Kimbrough. I hope I got the name right. I'll just, maybe, oh yeah? Okay. It was amazing talking to you this morning. Curtis, the pastor came from Indianapolis, Indiana. Don't hold that against you, even though you don't like the Hawks. But other than that, you know, you're pretty good. Because you went to George Fox University. And I read your bio. It's interesting that you worked for the city of Portland as you're receiving your degree in theology. I don't know if Portland helped your degree or you helped Portland, but anyway, you were a good mix. And he come and he co-founded the church, planted the church, the Unity Family Church, which is a really cool name. I'm a Baptist, so we always have boring names, so it's really cool to have a cool name, I must say. And you have, and just reading through, you've done so much for our community. Thank you so much for what you stand for, and please give it a few words.
You notice he said a few words. He said when you're the pastor of life, sometimes you don't know how to put it down. So, but we thank everybody for inviting us. Unity Family Church, can we get a hello? What I wanted to do personally is thank everybody for coming out, the people from the church. But as we talk about unity, I wanted to talk about diversity a little bit. Unity and Family Church was set up years ago. My wife and I met when she chased me down at George Fox College. We met and we began to have some meetings with some young people of all nations and all cultures. And we continue that on as we moved over here. But I wanted to give you some statistics of what we have at our church. 1% is Pacific Islander, 37% is Hispanic, 41% is African American, and 11% is the Caucasian. So we have a well-diverse congregation that we try to work with people all over Clark County. I worked with the Police Activity League for several years, and I served there at the police department here in Vancouver for 7 years, and we work with kids all over Clark County, Clark County, the area here. And what we found was people. If you want to, especially when you're working with youth, people are people, kids are kids, and we must be able to just take that mentality as adults. Sometimes we get into the area of where we get into that adulthood, we're scared to talk to each other, we're scared to interact, we don't want to be honest with one another. But you look at the kids in our community, like now, they are having a good time. They have all different cultures. Even in the rain, they're having a good time. They're not fighting over anything, they're just playing their thing with the little equipment that we have. We need to take that same ideal as we talk about unity, as we talk about being together here in the community. as we do things to better ourselves, we need to be able to just give ourselves over to helping other people, because we just as good as the leastest person in our community. We need to raise up the people in our community by what? We talked about food, we talked about shelter, the rabbi talked about letting people come in and take care of them. We need to take care of our people. And we all are one race. Just think about it, that is the human race. We may have different colors, we may have some. I'll tell you what, if an alien come down here today, we're going to band together to get that alien out of here, right? So we need to understand that we are a part of one race. And that one race is the human race. And we need to make a difference in the lives that we come across. We love it at the Unity Family Church to be inclusive. We sometimes have service where the Hispanic population will do interpretation to the English-speaking population and flip that back around. But that's how you be inclusive. That's how you bring unity. Unity takes work, y'all. And I know you know that some of the county officials here, we appreciate you, all what you do. All the people that's here and working around the community, we appreciate all what you do. But it takes also us, other people from the religious community, from the business community, from the political community, working together to make a difference. And that's what we're all about at Unity. So if you ever want to come, we're right down the street at the RS Medical Building. I'm going to put that plug in right now. 11 o'clock in the morning, you can come and be a part of that. We're not long-winded. We were talking earlier. We're not long-winded. We get the job done and get out the way. But we thank you for allowing us to come and be a part of this, because we are a part of this community. We've been here, my wife and I raised our kids here. They graduated from high school, now in college, a couple in college, and one's graduated from Morehouse College out of Atlanta, Georgia, working, doing well. But it's because we got together and got out of Portland and came over here to want to be a part of this community, because we love this community. So we appreciate you all having us, and we encourage you to get to know somebody else today. If you don't know the person next to you, ask them their name. If you're not comfortable in talking to them, break through that little scaredness. Get with that person next to you and find out something about that person, so later you can be able to deal with the unity as we go farther and grow this program. Amen? Can I get an amen? All right, I'll let you go.
Oh, that's fantastic, Pastor Kimbrough. Next, I'd like to introduce one of the members of one of our oldest African-American families in Clark County, Tanisha Harris. Thank you so much, Tanisha.
Thank you, everybody. I'm Tanisha Harris, and over 75 years ago, my great-grandfather, Robert Harris and Bates Barnett, came out through the railroads, worked on the railroads, and worked in the shipyards. And eventually a lot of other family members from Oklahoma and Texas came out too. And after World War II ended, a lot of the African-American families decided to either go back down south, go back to California, or move over to Portland, Vanport, to be exact. But my grandparents decided they wanted to make Vancouver their home. They saw something about the community, the people in the community that they liked, and they wanted to raise their family. And they were only one of 8 African-American families in Vancouver. So growing up, my father experienced a lot of different types of discrimination and racism, but my grandfather always instilled in them that this is your home. Vancouver's your home now. This is where you were born and raised. This is where you will raise your families at too. So I'm now the 4th generation of Harrises here in Clark County. My nieces and nephews are now the 5th. And I so appreciate what my colleague Kathryn said. I too work at the YWCA, so does Beatrice. We are on a mission to eliminate racism and empower women. And so I just encourage everybody, even in times of difficulty, you might not feel like you're an outsider, know that you have a place in your community and to find your voice. I certainly have, and I know all of you have too, so thank you on behalf of my family, and thank you so much to the organizers. This is a great event, bringing all of us together. A lot of times we have individual celebrations for our cultures, but not too much. We all come together, so I look forward to many more Unity events. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Now you get to hear the cleanup hitter, Galina Burley. And Galina, I'm going to embarrass you with kind of a long introduction, because Galina's story is just the American story. It's such the perfect example of moving in and doing so extremely well. So I've got it typed up. You're going to have to bear with me reading. Galina Burley is a longtime resident of Vancouver. She is a mother of 3 and an immigrant from Russia. You may have seen her coverage of the Sochi Games, by the way, which I loved, being able to know I have a friend who's from there, and she can tell stories about Sochi during the Olympics. I loved that. After moving to America in 1991, with $50 to their name, Galina's parents relied on Galina to get a job, learn English, and help them navigate the complexities of their new life in this country. And at an early age, Galina became fluent in English, helped her parents start a family business, and went to college while working 2 jobs and raising a family. In addition to her outstanding work as a manager of a large-scale public program, Galina's other accomplishments include the 2013 Golden Ivan Award for Community Building, a President's Award from the Oregon Crime Prevention Association for her commitment to public safety, the George Robert House Jr. Award for Outstanding Service for her efforts in community outreach, a recent nomination for the 2013 Distinguished Woman Award for her work on diversity and inclusive public policy through the East European Coalition, a master's degree in public administration, a career managing large-scale programs and services, work with Radio 7 and the Columbian newspaper, and of course an amazing family. Let me go back to this. She started out in 1991 and accomplished all of that as a new American arriving in 1991. So let's put your hands together for Galina Burley.
Wow, who is this woman? Can you introduce me to her? I have no idea. Sounds so accomplished. I am so honored to be here today. First of all, to my political friends, I am not running for anything for a long time. You all work way too hard. It's way too much work. But you know, I just want to, back to that bio, just want to say what happens to unity. What happens to unity is people like me, who live in your community, who pay taxes, who send their kids to our public schools, who go to church here. They might work in Portland, and I work in Portland. But they come back home here because they really feel that this is their family. I was embraced by Vancouver from the time I moved here. I couldn't believe it, honestly. I barely spoke English a year or so after we got here. And I was being asked to participate on a youth committee or a police board. And get involved, get involved. Vancouver has a spirit that's beyond one that you see in a lot of other communities. We look different, we sound different, but I think most importantly is we care. And I feel that here, I could live anywhere. I could live in Portland, I could live in Lake Oswego, I could live in Battleground. Finally, I could afford to do that, but I choose to come home here. Because this place made me who I am today. People like Jim, who believed in me from the time I was 20. People like Larry, I don't know where he's at, who gave me one of the biggest jobs of my life, helping work on Estes Park. People like Ann, who ran with me, and who is now Mayor Pro Tem, who is an amazing woman and has inspired me to be stronger and better at what I do. And each and every one of you, I am just so honored and so incredibly inspired by today. I hope this is one of many events like these. Let's keep them less formal. I would bring more kids. I would ask people around the park to come join us. Let's keep this going. 25 years is a long time to wait for us to celebrate unity. Which it doesn't mean uniformity, right? It doesn't mean we sacrifice who we are. It doesn't mean that we are fragmented as a community. It simply means that we are. Thank you so much.
And with that, I'd like to repeat the words of Pastor Kimbrough, that we're all one race, the human race. And so I'm going to ask you to put your hands together and let all of us hear it, and let all of Clark County hear it when I say, all of us, we are one and we are united, right?
A lot of people brought a lot of food. So we have these large plates. We expect you to walk down and take food for you, for your family, because you still have dinner tonight, you have lunches tomorrow, all of those cupcakes need to go somewhere, a lot of people, and the beautiful rices and dishes, and a whole another baked potato, stuff it and take it home. Thank you so much.
Let's make sure to get some pictures together too, so that we can have pictures of our first Unity Sunday and compare that as we move forward through the years and build and grow this event. Thank you so much.